I love Magic. I love that every game has the same sequence of untap, upkeep, and draw, but opens itself to endless experience interpersonally, thematically, and mechanically. I began playing Magic to connect with my older brother in a substance-free environment. Little did I know that Magic would alter the lens in which I engage with the world. My favorite creature type in Magic is the Eldrazi, a type of creature that leverages cosmicism and visual motifs and gameplay mechanics. The Eldrazi, as a subversion of common tropes in high fantasy and as a symbol of mindless consumption, altered my perception of the status quo and affirmed to me that the unknown could be conquered. In 2016, my brother and I were estranged. But Magic changed that. He had been recovering from substance dependence, and I was guarded about letting him back into my life. I wasn't sure how much we'd actually have in common, and I was worried that doing so would devolve into a binge. One night, he asked if I was interested in going to Friday Night Magic. He shared that he'd been playing it as a substitute for addiction and as therapy to reclaim some of his childhood suppressed by the satanic panic of the mid-90s. I was hesitant, but decided to give it a shot. I was subsequently pub stomped, but was impressed with the environment of the play space. It was both social and intellectual as a way to spend a Friday night without an intrinsic pressure to consume alcohol or indulge in other mood-altering substances. It was during Kaladesh Standard, but I was immediately exposed to the Eldrazi, and they hooked me. Initially drawn to them by their art, I know the pieces fit because I assembled Tron. The Eldrazi, often balancing physical prowess against calm demeanor, they grew to impact my capacity to have faith that my brother and anyone else could change. The Eldrazi remain unexplainable and ambiguous in form, often without a discernible face, but their impact on Zendikar was extensive and quantifiable in ways that are familiar. They are presented as ambiguous monstrosity that consume all in their path. Their design draws from cosmicism, which is superficially is squiggly monsters, but under the surface posits that many aspects of our lives are formless and unintuitive to confront, but impactful. Much like a fly trying to fly out of a window, many problems in our life impact us and necessitate an approach that exists beyond our perception. Such is the approach to overcoming substance dependence. The existence of the Eldrazi and the approach of the Gatewatch overcoming them by drawing them out and addressing them directly is likened to drawing out the wounds that drive us into dissociating with substances and healing those wounds acutely. The story of the Gatewatch overcoming the Eldrazi gave me a narrative that inspired me to believe that with community, love, and individual motivation, my brother could overcome substance dependence. Something I loved about playing at the game store with my brother is that we were treated as Magic players first and foremost. As a chemistry student in college, I often felt disconnected from others because well-intentioned students would laud me for pursuing it. They'd act like I was solving the universe. Students would often say things like, "Oh, you study chemistry, you must be smart," or "I could never study chemistry." But the fact is that I only studied it because it was what I was good at. There was no brilliance beneath the surface, and I was envious of those who studied other subjects. This resulted in feeling socially disconnected because I didn't feel seen for who I was. A gamer who loved overanalyzing film, who happened to be all right at chemistry. In feeling seen at the Magic game store, I learned to see my brother beyond his past actions in substance dependence. I opened my heart to the notion that my brother was so much more. A gamer who loved overanalyzing jam bands and who happened to be good at computer science. This affirmed to me that not all those who wander are lost. Local game store play served me as an antidote to the hyper-individualism permeating collegiate culture at the time, and allowed me to connect more with those around me as a person. In college, I went on to study video production alongside chemistry, a combination that often puzzled my peers. Although I attended a liberal arts institution that intrinsically encouraged this, it wasn't clear to me that a career doing both would ever be possible. It wasn't until I watched Heuristic Studies video Magic's Best Worst Card, exploring One with Nothing, a card that at its surface isn't a good idea, but in the right circumstances could win games, that this changed. I realized that while I couldn't picture what my career would look like, there was synergy in how my intellectual pursuits rewarded expertise relating to instrumentation and software, in the sense that nurturing a camera and calibrating lab equipment and looking at your film and developing it into a sequence and reviewing data and trying to look for the implications of your research are very similar. Much like building a deck around the worst Magic card, I could grow as a scientist to become a better filmmaker, and I could grow as a filmmaker to become a better scientist if I nurtured myself in the correct context. Were it not for this video and getting into Magic by opening myself up to the possibility that my brother could change, I don't know who I'd be. Although my future had been ambiguous in shape, much like in Eldrazi, the addition of Magic Gathering grew into my life as a catalyst for making lifelong friends, intellectual exercise, and connectivity outside of my career. My brother and I have a stronger relationship than ever. When the pandemic hit, collecting cards for decks I planned to play when the pandemic was over gave me something to look forward to while I socially distanced. I admittedly was tempted to fully dissociate into substances myself during the social isolation of the pandemic, and reconnecting with the Eldrazi and Magic helped me avoid this. Although now there are more cards released than I can process, like an Eldrazi processor. I love Eldrazi processors. I really wish there was an Eldrazi processor commander. Anyways, although now there are more cards released that I can process, I've found playstyle I gravitate towards, that being mono red and Eldrazi Taxes. While Eldrazi Taxes doesn't see much play anymore, I'm optimistic Eldrazi will at least see some player relevance in the upcoming Modern Horizons set. Videos about how someone began playing Magic are often cited as being cliche and boring, but I personally love them and wanted to provide mine. So thank you for taking the time to listen, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!